Jai Gurudev. We'll chant Om 3 times. Take a normal breath in and let go. Breathing in for Om. 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मद्श्रीगुरुपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहैः तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वसुदेवसुदं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Kindly let me know where I should start. This is chapter 2, verse 17, but I'm not sure where we stopped yesterday. I did not attend for a few days. Last 2 weeks I was not here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So where did we stop yesterday?
We stopped at the 7th or the 8th shloka. Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha.
Which is which chapter?
Second chapter. We started from the beginning
Oh, okay.
because it was a long gap.
Okay.
So you can go back to that verse. It's either 7th or 8th.
7th and 8th together. And Dr. Ramana, the Sishya, that's where we had to start. Unless you want to.
Shishyasteham.
Yeah.
Shishyasteham. Oh, it's a long way. Do you remember the page?
Page is 163 or something like that. This is year to go back, not 11. 7.
7, okay.
Yeah. Here, wait. Stop. You have to go back up, scroll down. Yes. No, scroll up. Yeah. Scroll up. Yeah, to 165 maybe.
This is 8th one.
The 7 and 8, yeah.
7 and 8, is it?
Yeah, they are together, the 7 and 8 together. I read up to the point where about Sishya, we have to read about Sishya.
Okay. So we'll do that again?
Yeah, we are done with this one, Karpan. From here.
It's a small one. So
Yeah.
Then Arjuna explained himself further.
need some help.
Karpanya-dosha. Someone would have to read for me.
स्वभावः प्रजामि त्वं. Oh, now I got confused.
Okay,
let me do
try
it.
again then.
Yeah, go ahead.
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः. No.
Prachami tvam.
धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Thank you. So, Karpanya-dosha upaha swabhavaha. Overcome by faint-heartedness. Dharma samudha chetaha. Confused about my duty. Tvam.
धर्मसम्मूढ
Brahma sammudha
धर्म
cheta. Dharma.
धर्मसम्मूढ.
Okay. Dharma sammudha chetaha.
Yes.
So, confused about my duty. Tvam, you. Prachami, I ask. Me, for me. Yat, which. Nishchitam shreyasya syat is definitely better. Tat, that. Bruhi, please tell me. Aham, I am. Te, your. Shishya, student. Tvam prapannam, one who has taken refuge in you. Mom, may, Shadhi, please teach. Overcome by faint-heartedness, confused about my duty, I ask you, which is definitely better for me. Please tell me. I am your student. Please teach me who has taken refuge in you. I need help. Nahi.
न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्यात् यच्चोकमुच्छोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमावसपत्नमृद्धं राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यम्.
Thank you. Bhuvanaha, on the earth. Asapatnam, unrivaled. Riddham, prosperous. Rajyam, kingdom. Suranam, of the denizens of heaven. Api, even. Adipatyam, overlordship. Cha, and. Avapya, obtaining. Mama, my. Indriyanam, of the senses. Uchoshanam, that which dries up. Shokam, sorrow. Yat apanudhyad, that which would remove. Nahi prashyami, I do not see. I do not see anything that will remove the sorrow that dries up my senses, even if I even if I were to obtain an unrivaled and prosperous kingdom on earth and sovereignty over the denizens of heaven. We will look at the second of these verses first. Here Arjuna described how his sorrow has dried up his sense organs so that they could not function. His arms and legs also seem to be atrophied. The energy in them have been totally sapped by this incapacitating sorrow. Nor could he see any way of removing it, even if he found the courage to fight because of his commitment to Dharma and because Krishna asked him to fight. Arjuna did not think his sorrow would ever go away. He saw it as something inside himself, a sorrow that cannot be alleviated. In fact, only the sad become sad, not one suddenly becomes sad. Just as the angry become angry, the sad becomes sad. If you are already angry inside, all that you require is a reason to be angry. Similarly, the jealous become jealous and the lonely become lonely. Therefore, these feelings indicate that there is a problem already there underneath. Arjuna recognized an inner unwept sadness and felt sad. Sometimes the sadness that is underneath comes out. Otherwise, it is always remain hidden there. In between the bouts of sadness that come out, there is some laughter, not because of your effort, but in spite of it, sadness seems to be something that is identical with the person. Arjuna concluded that even gaining an unrivaled kingdom on earth would not allay his sorrow. A kingdom is usually considered surrounded by enemies, making it a rival kingdom, meaning that its ruler cannot sleep peacefully. That is like having a nice house which you cannot enjoy because it is because it is in an inimical neighborhood. Similarly, in a kingdom that all the rivals want to occupy and go on encroaching upon, one fellow nibbles away at the east while another nibbles away at the west. This continual encroachment, this nibbling, makes the ruler and the kingdom miserable. Therefore, in order to be happy, a ruler must have a kingdom that is unrivaled. Even by being the emperor of an empire, this could not be accomplished. Arjuna knew there can be such severe drought and poverty in an empire that people will begin to eat each other or at least will be ready to do so. Arjuna saw his situation in this way. Dharma is very difficult to follow when a man is hungry and continues to be hungry. Eventually, he will begin to compromise his dharma in order to relieve his hunger. The ruler of a kingdom is no different except that he must become a national beggar. If you are the head of a family, you have to beg for the whole family, not a big problem. However, if you are the ruler of a whole nation and its citizens are hungry, you must go to UNESCO and America to plead for assistance. A kingdom which is poor is not a happy kingdom, and if it is prosperous, rivals will definitely be there. Having commented on earthly kingdoms, Arjuna then extended his thinking to the kingdom of the gods. I don't see that even ruling the kingdom of heaven will enable me to cross the sorrow, he said. Arjuna saw his mind as having been destroyed by karpanya, miserliness. A person who has no money and does not spend is practical, whereas one who has no money but spends is not. Neither is a miser. A miser is one who has money and will not spend it. He or she is always waiting for retirement, which is not related to a job, but to the time when he can no longer take care of himself. Always worrying about who will take care of him, he keeps his money for later. If he does fall ill, he still hangs on to it out of his concern for a more serious illness later. Then, when he dies, his brother in law gets everything. Such a person is a miser. He does not spend on himself or others. He's a very unfortunate person, like a child holding on to all his toys. He is immature, he does not know himself and dies not knowing. The Brahadaranyaka Upanishad, Brahadaranyakopinishad talks about a Kripana, a miser, from another standpoint. It describes a person leaving this body without gaining the knowledge of Atma is a miser. It says, Yava etak etaksharam gar. I
यो
can't do
वा
this.
यो वा एतदक्षरं गार्गी अवदित्वा अस्मान् लोकात् प्रैति स कृपणः.
Thank you. Brahadaranya, Brahadaranyakopinishad. O Gargi, the one who departs from this world without knowing this immutable one is a Kripana. The real wealth of a human being is more than external wealth. It is knowing what is real and what is unreal, what is right and what is wrong. Viveka. This wealth distinguishes the human being from all other beings. The one who has this viveka is not a kripana, whereas the one who does not have it naturally holds on to things which have no real content because his or her value structure is confused. Arjuna is referring to this kind of miserliness when he says that he has been overcome by karpanya. Arjuna now saw that although he had opportunities to do so, he had not made proper use of his mind. Otherwise, he would not have had this problem, and knowing what was right and wrong would have been easy. He knew he could only decide this when he was not caught in the very concept of right and wrong. He had to know a little more than dharma and adharma in order to decide about the right and wrong. When the right and wrong itself is an issue, it cannot be resolved by one whose mind is deluded with reference to right and wrong. Because he knew something more was needed. Arjuna asked Krishna to tell him what was best for him. He wanted Krishna to teach him that which is more than dharma and adharma. Two pursuits are open to a person, Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is something that is good for all, something that is above dharma and adharma. Whereas Preyas is the result of dharma. Any good action produces a result for you, such as prosperity, pleasure, and so on. Shreyas is other than this, more than this. It is moksha. Arjuna therefore asked, Please teach me Shreyas alone. Krishna could have said, Why should I teach you? I came here to drive your chariot, and you are asking me to teach. That was not the original contract. I said I would drive. I told you I would not fight. I did not tell you that I would teach you. You wanted me to drive your chariot and I accepted. Now that you're asking your driver to teach you. But Krishna responded in this way because Arjuna was telling him something that he had never told him before. He was saying, I am your student. Arjuna is also clever. Thank God. If someone tells you that he is your student, you have to decide whether he deserves to be a Sishya or not. Whether you will be his or her guru is something for you to decide. Thus, Arjuna left it in Krishna's hands. He seems to say, the ball is in your court now, Krishna. You do whatever you like. I don't care, but I am your Sishya. Up to now, Arjuna had not told Krishna that he was his student. That is why Krishna had not taught him so far. Only for asking is the teaching given, and Arjuna had never asked for it. Although he had asked for a variety of things, he had asked him to come and drive his chariot, which Krishna did, but he had never asked him to teach. What does it mean to be a student, a Sishya? The words Sishya and Shreyas go together. Once you say, I am a Sishya, and you ask for Shreyas, there is only one meaning for that Shreyas. Although it can mean anything good, any topical situation to a topical problem, any medicine or treatment. Shreyas here has an absolute meaning because Arjuna says, I am your Sishya, please teach me. The absolute meaning is conveyed. Shishya can also mean many things. There is an archery Sishya, a dance Sishya, both of which apply to Arjuna, as well as many others. In all of them, one factor is missing, the surrender. By asking Krishna to teach him, Arjuna became a Sishya, a disciple. As a student, he surrendered himself to Krishna. As we saw earlier, there are three words in Sanskrit for the student: Vidyarthi, Antevasi, and Sishya. Vidyarthi can be anyone having a desire for knowledge. Anyone wants to know everything. Everyone wants to know everything. But that does not mean that effort is made to gain knowledge. An Antevasi is the one who makes this effort. This type of student goes to a teacher, joins the ranks, joins the courses, enrolls in the university. That does not mean that he or she understands what is being taught in the class. The student may simply be sitting there accomplishing nothing. Antevasi is the one who makes the effort. The third word for student is Sishya, referring to a student who is qualified to be taught based on his or her capacity to understand. By using the word Sishya, Arjuna was stating that he thought he was prepared to learn what Krishna had to teach. His compassion indicated that he was mature, but because of a certain lack of understanding, there was a confusion with reference to dharma and adharma. Arjuna wanted to solve this problem much more fundamentally. He could not but think of his sorrow, which is a human problem. He had discerned sorrow in a situation where sorrow was not expected. He could not proceed with the battle because he did not see any favorable outcome, nothing that could be that he could be proud of, and thus his mind went elsewhere. Where does the mind go in such circumstances? It comes back to it, to oneself. This is where culture comes in. Without culture, one becomes a hobo. In Arjuna's case, his culture, maturity, his upbringing, his lifelong commitment to the values of Dharma, the various privations he underwent for the sake of Dharma, all of these had paid off in this particular coming back to himself and saying, I don't think that even a heavenly kingdom could remove the sorrow that is in me. Sorrow was therefore the problem, and Arjuna had always heard that there was only one way of removing it. He had to become a Sishya and gain Shreyas or Moksha, liberation. He did both of them. To be Sishya, he told Krishna, I have surrendered to you. You are the one who is going to deliver the goods. I am your student. In this way, Arjuna surrendered so that Lord Krishna could do what was to be done.
Can you please read the couple of paragraphs before this? Yeah, the third word for
Third word for
yeah.
student is Shishya, referring to a student who is qualified to be taught based on his or her capacity to understand. By using the word Sishya, Arjuna was stating that he thought he was prepared to learn what Krishna had to teach. His compassion indicated that he was mature, but because of a certain lack of understanding, there was a confusion with reference to dharma and adharma. Arjuna wanted to solve this problem more fundamentally, much more fundamentally. He could not but think of his sorrow, which is a human problem. He had discerned sorrow in a situation where sorrow was not expected. He could not proceed with the battle because he did not see any favorable outcome, nothing that he could be proud of, and thus his mind went elsewhere. Where does the mind go in such circumstances? It comes back to oneself. This is where culture comes. This is so nice, no? I never thought of culture like this. So, where does the mind go in such situations? It comes back to oneself. And this is where culture comes in. Without culture, one becomes a hobo. In Arjuna's case, his culture, maturity, his upbringing, his lifelong commitment to the values of Dharma, the various privations he underwent for the sake of Dharma, all of these had paid off in this particular coming back to himself and saying, I don't think that even a heavenly kingdom could remove this sorrow that is in me. Sorrow was therefore the problem, and Arjuna had always heard that there was only one way of removing it. See, this is the culture, our culture, no? To remove sorrow, liberation is the only way. This is what is there in Sanatana Dharma. He had to become a Sishya and gain Shreyas or Moksha, liberation. Buddha also says this. Desire is the root cause of sorrow, and to liberate from sorrow, liberation is the answer to sorrow. Mm. So he had to become a Sishya and gain Shreyas or Moksha, liberation. He did both of them. To be a Sishya, he told Krishna, I have surrendered to you. You are the only one who is going to deliver the goods. I am your student. In this way, Arjuna surrendered so that Lord Krishna could do what was to be done. Where did it go?
So in this, in Arjuna, there's some deep-seated sorrow, but then again, we all probably have it in us also, right? The sorrow, but then again, we forget about it, I think. As time goes on, you kind of come
Actual
out of
when
it.
the actual situation he had to face, no. That is why everything when it
Yeah,
led to
true.
the
But what I'm saying
war.
is there is something is more. The sad becomes sad. It's not like situation is there, but on top of it, something is underneath he had. But then for him to become Sishya to attain Shreyas, that is in the. And also the sorrow is actually part of the samsara. Fear and sorrow
Yeah.
is a part of the samsara. So it is something you want to get the freedom from completely of it. So he
Yes.
Yes.
he wants to completely come out of it, not just
Yes.
for that
Fundamentally,
time
he
being
wanted
coming
to.
out of the sorrow. It's just coming out of completely this sorrow. Um, like you said, in Buddha's case, he also felt people are suffering. That suffering, gives rise to the sadness and all these difficulties in their life. So, given that, why we really need to attain moksha is this to come out of all these
Sorrow of the
problems.
samsara.
Yeah, it's
Sorrow is a
basically.
human
Yeah.
problem.
I was just wondering why this one sorrow is like mentioned like that. Then it's basically it's samsara. That it's continuously you go through so much difficulty, especially in Arjuna's life, of course. Right from the beginning, they've been going through so many things. On top of that, they had to face the Duryodhana's all these schemes, and finally they had to lose their kingdom and fight for it. Then he is faced with all these challenges about his guru and how he's very attached to Bhishma, that right from young age. So that's another reason he was, you know, perturbed about it when saw him in the front of him. It's so fun, like think of it. Say if you are in the chariot and you have your son or daughter, they say they don't want to do it, and what will you do? Either you get angry and you get up, you go, right? And but like Krishna was so centered and he was listening and then give him like a whack on his back. It's really fun to fun at the same time. It's a very important topic. Sorry, Madhuri, go ahead. What you're saying?
I continue. So Sanjaya said, Sanjaya Uvacha, Evamukva Rishikesha, Gudakesha Parantapa, Nayotsya iti Govindam, Utva Tushnim Bahu Vaha. Sanjaya said, Parantapa, the scorcher of force, Gudakesha, Arjuna, Rishikesham to Lord Krishna, Evam, in this manner, Uktva, having spoken, Na yotsye, I shall not fight. Iti, thus Govindam to Govinda, Uktva, saying, Tushnim Bahuva, became silent. Indeed. Sanjaya said, having spoken to Rishikesha, Lord Krishna, in this manner, Gudakesha Arjuna, the scorcher of foes, saying to Govinda, I shall not fight, became silent. When these words of Sanjaya With these words, Sanjaya informed Dhritarashtra of the most recent events on the battlefield, as he had been asked to. Wanting Krishna to teach him Shreyas, Arjuna had said, I am your Sishya. Please teach me. Arjuna seemed to know the profundity of the word Shreyas, a word mentioned often in the Shastra. In the Kathopanishad, there is a story about a young boy, Nachiketas, who went to Lord Yama, the Lord of Death, and received three boons. He encashed the first in favor of his father, who was angry with him. For the second boon, he asked to be taught the ritual for gaining heaven. This boon, too, was for the sake of others. Lord Yama granted. Nachiketas both of these boons. Nachiketa encashed the third boon for himself. He wanted to know whether there was a self, an Atma, other than the body, because some people said there was and others said there was not. He told Lord Yama that he wanted to be taught about this Atma and that there was no one more qualified to do it than Lord Yama. At first, Lord Yama discouraged him, but finally decided to teach Nachiketas. Lord Yama told Nachiketas that there were always two things available to a human being, Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is chosen by one who is wise, a Viveki, whereas everyone else generally chooses Preyas, prosperity and pleasure, Artha and Kama. Dharma also comes under Preyas. Shreyas, on the other hand, is moksha, liberation, the freedom brought about by self knowledge. Nachiketas asked Lord Yama for his Shreyas because Shreyas can be used in both a relative and an absolute sense. It is important to know what it was that Arjuna was asking for. Whether Arjuna wanted it or not, Krishna understood Arjuna's request only in terms of absolute Shreyas and not in the ordinary sense. The absolute meaning of Shreyas is absolute fullness, that which is good for me, good for you, good for everyone, at any time and place. That which was good for Arjuna was equally good for Duryodhana, if only he had ears for it. If Duryodhana had said to Krishna, I am your Sishya, please teach me, and if Krishna had considered Duryodhana a qualified student, he would have taught him in the same way. Wherever and to whomever Shreyas is taught, it is always taught the same way because it is knowledge, jnana. From Krishna's point of view, then the Shreyas Arjuna asked for was this knowledge, which is moksha. In the wake of this knowledge, there is no sorrow. Because this is the teaching of the Gita from beginning to end, Gita is Moksha Shastra, a body of teaching meant to destroy shoka, sorrow. Knowledge is something that cannot be personal. Although it has to be gained by a person, knowledge, any knowledge, is always true to the nature of the object of knowledge. Any knowledge is always true to the nature of the object of knowledge. It is not something that is centered on your personal will, but on the object of knowledge. For example, if the object is a flower, it is a flower. There is no choice in knowing it as anything other than a flower. If there is something more to know about the flower, then you can know it to its botanical name, which includes its family and so on. Whatever more you come to know about, the flower is always jnana. Because knowledge is always as true as the object, it is not determined by one's will. Therefore, knowledge of a thing is not going to differ from person to person. That is absolute Shreyas. Knowledge of an object. It's its complete truth. Relative Shreyas. Usually, what is good for you at a given time may not be good for you at another time. For example, a particular drug may be a cure for your illness, although it is also a poison. Thus, what is good for you at one time is not good for you at another time. Also, a certain medicine may be good for only one problem and not any other. Alternatively, the drug that treats your problem may not be good for someone else with the same problem because of the other person's allergic reaction to it. This kind of goodness is what is meant by relative goodness, something that is not always applicable in the same way. It keeps on changing. Something that is good is determined by place, desha, time, kala, and situation, nimitta. Even these, even ethics and values, dharma shastra, which are generally considered as absolute, have to be interpreted from time to time because dharma shastra is to be interpreted. It cannot be considered absolutely good. That's a bit of a contradiction, no? Dharma shastra cannot be considered absolutely good, or its application, I would say. Absolute Shreyas. If there is something that is absolutely good, it must be something that does not change at any time and is always the same for any person. That is what is meant by Shreyas here. Arjuna's sorrow led him to ask for this Shreyas, and Krishna understood what he wanted to be, that he wanted to be. Krishna understood what he wanted as absolute Shreyas. Absolute Shreyas, called moksha, is the complete acceptance of oneself. Self acceptance implies a self that is already acceptable. If I am not acceptable to myself, positive thinking cannot give me self acceptance. So nice. The self is unfolded in the Gita as already acceptable, along with how it is acceptable and how it is free from all limitations. The one who is happy with oneself has nothing more to do. Such a person is one who has checked off all the items to be completed, to be fulfilled, that are on the list. He or she is a free person. Throughout the Gita, we are told that the self is acceptable, and that is acceptable self alone is what everyone else is seeking in life. When Duryodhana wanted the kingdom, he wanted only self acceptance. He wanted to see himself as a person who was acceptable to himself. Without a kingdom, he could not see himself in this way. Therefore, he wanted the kingdom. In the process, of course, he had conflicts. He was cavilled at by so many people, and he had wronged so many people. How could he be acceptable to himself under such circumstances? You should be acceptable to yourself without a kingdom, without any addition, without even the physical body and its condition. Only then can you accept yourself. If the body is something based on what you have, if the body is something based on which you have self-acceptance, you are in trouble because body will change. It is not going to remain the same. The self might have been acceptable yesterday but not today because the body has picked up a problem. The body is time bound. It is subject to change and it keeps changing. Therefore, in the morning it is acceptable and in the evening it is not. We find then that if the self depends on any other factor for its acceptability, it is not an acceptable self at all. The self by itself, in its own glory, should be acceptable to you, for which it has to be free from any limitation whatsoever. The self is the whole. In reality, there is nothing other than self. The vision is unfolded in the Gita in such verses as all beings exist in me and I do not exist in them. Matstyani sarvabhutani na chaham deshva vashishtaha. Deshvavashishtaha. And in me there are no beings. Nacha mastani bhutani. This means that while I do not depend on any of them, they all depend upon me. This is the vision of the whole unfolded in the Shastra as meaning of the word Shreyas. Want any discussion so far?
Yes, please.
So what Arjuna wanted is absolute Shreyas, and Krishna understood that because he wanted not temporary freedom from the situation, but freedom from sorrow itself. And for which Swamiji says you must have self-acceptance. This is my understanding that we must, what he's asking for is moksha, Shreyas. For moksha uh, is the complete acceptance of oneself. But then Shastra also says that, even Bhagavad Gita says, the self is already acceptable. So we have to unfold that from what is not acceptable about ourselves to going to that total acceptance. So he says positive thinking, no, covering over your negativity, that is not self-acceptance. And it will not work either. So the self is unfolded in the Gita as already acceptable, along with how it is acceptable and how it is free from all limitations. So that is why Krishna gives Arjuna the nature of the soul first. Immediately in the second chapter, I think the first part is nature of the soul, nature of the Atma, which is, like he said, it does not depend on anything, whereas everything depends on it. And Krishna, later on, Krishna also says the same Atma is there in everybody, and that is the self-acceptance that Krishna is expecting or teaching. So he says the one who's happy with oneself has nothing more to do. Such a person is one who has checked off all the items to be completed, to be fulfilled from that list. He or she is a free person. Throughout the Gita, we are told that the self is acceptable, and this acceptable self alone is what everyone is seeking in life. Freedom from sorrow. Later on comes that Viveka Vairagya. These are the wisdom and its application that will give us this freedom from all the bondages. So that's when you can tick off all the list of things that are bothering you and how you free yourself from those with Viveka Vairagya. Shall we stop here? Anyone wants to add?
Yeah, Jai Gurudev. So few things here that we learn from the way Arjuna presented himself as a Shishya. Number one, he was in deep sorrow. Two, he was confused as to what is to be done, what is not to be done. And then he had enough maturity to realize that he was being a kripana, that he was being a miser, in the sense there was a wealth inside, but deep down, he was not able to access that. And in order to do that, because he realized he was a mature person, he was able to realize that he came to a state of surrender. And because he had all these qualities, he was the right shishya, so to say, to receive this knowledge. So when we look back and introspect our own selves, unless we are also in such a um, a state of mind as Arjuna is, not that we should go through, everyone should go through shoka and all, but Have we come to that state of surrender that this is what we want? Or is it that we are coming here as just the antevasi, just to learn a few, a few flowery words here and there? Is it only out of interest and curiosity? Or is it out of a deep, deep down mumukshitva that is taking us to knowledge? So I think at the intensity with which we want this, to remove the clouds of ignorance that are hovering around, to that extent, I think the Shastra Kripa happens or Guru Kripa happens, which is why I think uh, there are those three different levels of students, no? Mridu, Madhyama, and Tivra. So that it is even Mokshreyas is even beyond Dharma. Dharma, you're still saying right, wrong, this is how it should be, this is not how it should be. But Dharma, as we know, is can change from situation to situation, from time to time. From what was Dharma 10 years ago may not be Dharma now. So that is subject to change, and that is prayers, whereas Shreyas is something which is absolute. What was true 5,000 years ago is true now. It will be true 10,000 years later as well. And that is the total acceptance of oneself, that the Atma alone is. Everything else is Mithya, including the whole body and its equipments. So it's an opportunity for us to come out of our body consciousness, of our identity with the mind, intellect, ego. If we are ready to do that, then yes, then this knowledge that is being unfolded would then actually seep in. So that readiness we have to create ourselves. How ready are we? How intense is our yearning for this,
Totally
isn't
agree,
it?
Doctor. Totally agree. Even now
Otherwise,
also when we go in front of Gurudev, what is going on in our mind? Sometimes very unknowingly we put up something very silly in front of him, even today also. So what is that we are really longing for? It sometimes the threads again go back to the Maya dimensions only. That is really painful. But when sit in the knowledge, uh, it is so crystal clear. But when in front of him, again, what is that going on in the mind? Sometimes it definitely leads towards the sum of the dimensions of the Maya. So it is a very big learning for me today, what you are sharing. Feel very sad for myself. Jai Gurudev.
But even that, he only is footing, no?
He wants to check, I think, कि, whether the घड़ा पका है कि नहीं अभी तक के. The pot is not still
Ready.
fully ready.
Cooked enough.
Yeah, cooked enough. Yeah, very sad. But then I don't know. This is just out of the box. I am sharing. Gurudev came on 8th September to Mumbai for so many reasons, and then he met volunteers and teachers, and everything got over. And while coming back, I realized towards the end of this, my whole focus shifted from Gurudev, that Guru Tattva and Gurudev in front of me, to one or two some actors. They came over there, and suddenly my focus, my whole consciousness was full with that actress. Oh my God, I said, and I was not able to come out of it. That much that pull was there, and I am not a movie. I don't know. It is so subtle. We need to be, because I don't watch it, but my husband is very fond of that actress, and almost every alternate day he watches a little bit small clip of that. She's a Marathi actress, Prajakta Mali. If you know, she is Gurudev's follower. She is Gurudev's shishya, and because that he, every whenever he is watching, he will call me, look at Prajakta, how she is doing this, that. And first time and my whole focus suddenly, whatever my husband used to share with me, कि बग बग देखो देखो क्या दिख रहा है, वो कैसा कर रही है ना, ऐसा ना वैसा ना वैसा. And exactly that whole scenario of so many days and months and years, it flashed during that time when I'm sitting in front of Gurudev. Either you can take it at that the whole thing impression is cleared, or see, the pull was so much because of those impressions. रोज सुबह उठ के इतना साधना और सत्संग कर रहे हैं, उसका इम्पैक्ट गया, just blown away. And that, my God, it is so painful, when I sit back and think. But then, see, even Menka also could distance. She was like a Menka only at that moment. And just like we need to be really how much that longing is there in the heart, and the strongest desire for liberation, for knowledge, then the Guru is always there around to guide us. But then our small mind, when it pops up, it's absolutely not under our control. Jai Gurudev.
Actually, I've also been through these experience in front of Gurudev, and this is my conclusion that he can read us so well, and he knows what we are come for, and he knows whether we are ready for it or not. And then he puts those situations, those thoughts in our mind, or makes us go blank, and then we miss that opportunity. This is my experience, and we miss that opportunity. And then when we come back, I feel that was like a lesson. He's taught me something in that situation.
But the
Like
lesson is not ending up, no, Sumaji. I'm surprised. 26 years, and I'm crying. I don't know how come, and that the pull was like the whole. I was not absolutely. I'm not at all keen on watching anything on TV. It's I think I am gone beyond that. But you need to play the role as a housewife, as his miss, as a wife, and so he calls me. My husband calls me. Are so beautiful is happening, and you are not coming. Even those, but that flashes, whatever I have seen on the screen, that became like the most predominant thing in the mind, in the hall, because she
It's
was
just the
just sitting just
curiosity,
wondering.
Madhuriji, that all the time you were hearing about it, you want to know who this person is, right?
why
But
don't you take it
every,
positive thinking? Okay, Gurudev removed those impressions.
but to remove that impression, why he has to come to Bombay, and this is the nowadays getting his this thing is becoming so rare. And
Hmm.
if still, but good that I realize that so many impressions are getting collected, and now onwards we need to be wo caste ekdam, now we need to be very means
Strict.
aware of what's happening around us,
Yeah.
and what's where my mind is getting stuck. Now that
Mind is
delicate,
a flickering mind, right? So it's kind of takes away that. Even when you're listening to this, when you're reading, all of a sudden your mind is somewhere else, right? Unless you're really focusing on it. That single-minded, single-pointed ekagrata, right? Ekagrata.
Ekakrita.
yeah,
Ekagrata.
Ekakrita chitta.
Unless we have that, it's just thought, you just that thoughts wash away that focus and take over.
very
You know
true. Means
that have.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
भोग के तृप्ति नहीं और भाग के मुक्ति नहीं. Means भोग के means
but you had Guruji in front of you, so he was seeing all of that. What's going on in your mind?
yeah, and so predominant was I was very means I could see how much that pull is there towards her
Yeah.
because all these what corona time, no, COVID time,
Mm.
we my husband was totally glued to the TV only, and
Mm.
all the time, and then he wanted me also to sit in front of the TV. And that predominant thing last 4 5 years maybe. Suddenly, I don't know, but this is like happening, and we need to be. I just shared this example, this incident, so that we will become more careful. कि इतना सब करके भी वापस it is kind of that snake and ladder, no? Again coming back to zero kind of thing. That one bite, that the presence of that prajakta could I just through the snake I just came down to the zero again almost. Thank you so much, Jai Gurudev.
I think I'll also share something. Or is it too late? Maybe I'll.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow. Like we have,
Okay.
I also had something that I said, okay, time is up. We have to keep up with the time.
Yeah. Okay. So we will stop now.
Mm.
लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Meditation is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you, is never going to stay with you forever. They are all guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the effort. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open it.
Jai Gurudev.